right, Sean, by the way, I meant to ask you, you're not named after Mayberry with Andy Griffith, are you?
No, I'm not.
Um,
I've
um,
gotten that my entire life.
I'm sure you have. So influencers can happen in a second. They can happen in a lifetime. Um,
Mm.
my grandfather was the first influencer. I give this story a lot when I speak, but he used to take me for walks in the park. He was from Kyiv, had an accent. My family was from Kyiv. And
Oh,
one time I asked him, Zeta, how do you know all these people? And he said, well, one day I smiled at this person. He came over and smiled at me. And then we were talking about stuff. And while we were smiling and laughing, this other person came over and started to smile also and whatnot. And I said, wow, it's that easy just to make an influence, just smile. And as I got older, it worked even more. So, and we've all had many. Can you share maybe two or three people that have been influential in your life?
yeah, definitely my first was my father. He grew up on a farm. He was a dairy farmer, from the older generation, dropped out of high school. You could still do that back in his generation and still be successful.
Hmm.
Even without a high school degree, started working in a factory, worked his way up, became like the factory manager. And as a kid, I was always so proud of him. My dad, in my mind, was really a Renaissance man. Without a lot of formal education, he was always reading a book. He was always trying to figure out how to do something. He would just dabble around. He became a certified licensed gunsmith, and then he started practicing transcendental meditation. He was always doing something to better himself, and was very active in kind of that self personal development. And I've picked up that myself, and just always trying to make myself better and realizing, yeah, I can do that. I can figure that out, and not getting very kind of lazy, if you will. So for that, he's always been a huge motivational factor for me.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I think more in like the public space I had mentioned before. Big Jimmy Carter fan. What I really like about Carter is, the humble upbringing. I grew up in a pretty humble family myself in Western Massachusetts. And again, his diverse background, the Navy, public service, always so true to his values, his religious orientation, just very grounded. And I just use him as a role model again for myself, and in many ways similar to my dad. When you think of Carter starting off on a peanut farm, and then nuclear submarines, and then ultimately the president, and then what he did in the post presidency, he's like the things he does are well outside his normal skill capacity, but he's able to figure it out, assemble the team around him, and to make a difference, be it a peace negotiation or eradicating a disease in Africa. And again, so I love those type of people are just so ambitious. They won't let obstacles hold them back. They'll assemble a great team around them. And in many ways, they become like the driver of the bus. And that's what I do at StrongMinds, right? I'm not a mental health expert by any stretch, but I make sure I've got mental health experts, as I say, on the seats in the bus, and I just get to drive the bus. But those would be the two big influencers I would share off the top of my head.
No, I love it. And like we talked earlier, we should all know and realize that we're influencing people all the time and
Yes.
it can impact them. And it's our choice if we want to be positive or negative. Uh,
Mm, so true.
Even when we don't even think we're influencing because it can have an impact later on. So thanks for sharing all that.
No, my pleasure. I appreciate the question.